All right, it's Wednesday night. It's Wednesday. We know that it's the Wayne Coito show, and I got a picture on my screen. If you're watching on Facebook Live right now, I got a little visual program, which is what this program started out as. Trying to talk tonight on Wednesday. Getting so excited for Super Bowl 55, of course. That's all I can think about. But we're going to talk about Super Bowl 54 tonight. And what is it like to win a Super Bowl? I saw so many fans, win a Super Bowl. It was my fifth that I got to go to as a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and seeing, like the Eagles fans at 52. I'll never forget that. But them singing "Fly Eagles Fly" and that feeling of being in that stadium. There's nothing like that feeling. Seeing your team win the Super Bowl, and that wasn't even my team, the Eagles. Super Bowl 52, Eagles Patriots. That was just an amazing game, but. This is a culmination of a wonderful season, and even during this pandemic, the NFL and its players, its coaches put on such a great show for the fans, and it's going to end in Tampa with the home team, Buccaneers. It's so weird. They're going to be the home team, first time ever, the host team, playing in its own stadium. So that'll be interesting. And of course, the inclusion party, we had Ezra Tuolo, our boy from Waimanalo, former NFL player, contestant on The Voice. Make sure you go to inclusionparty.org. He's also, I believe they're auctioning off a signed Tom Brady and a signed Patrick Mahomes ball. So reach out. Hate is wrong. Check them out. Hate is wrong. Hateiswrong.org. Check them out on social media, but at inclusionparty.org. Go see that. COC is also going to be performing in that. And we're talking Ezra Tuolo, a great voice from Hawaii. We're talking COC, a great voice that you hear a lot here in the islands. And I'm going to bring on another one of my favorite voices to hear in the islands. And that is my boy Tunez from Rebel Souljahs. And he is a huge Bucs fan. So we're gonna talk Bucs, Chiefs. We're gonna talk music. We're gonna talk everything. But let's bring in right now for our fans, brother Tunez. How's it going, Tunez?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's it?
Well, Tunez, I know a lot of us were used to seeing you on stage, but for those of you who follow your social media as well, you are a Buccaneers guy. And I know that you're excited about this weekend. What has that been like, just going to the playoffs and watching your team advance week by week?
Oh man, for those of you who know about the Bucs, we haven't been really the best team in a long time. Actually, I think the last time we ever been to the playoffs was I think it was the year that we went to the Super Bowl, like 2002, somewhere around there maybe. Oh no, I think it was It was 13 years ago, actually, since we've been in the playoffs. So feels good, man, to still be cheering on this late in the season. And, it's exciting, man. Super Bowl bound, back home, baby, for the first time. Let's go.
I know. It's amazing to, think about your own team being in the Super Bowl. What, first of all, I talk about, and I'm going to talk about on this show, last year at Super Bowl 54, got to see the Chiefs win, and that was huge for me. I've been a Chiefs fan since '89, and a lot of it is so weird because people from Hawaii were like, "How you a Chiefs fan?" or "How you a this fan?" So I'm sure you get the "How you a Bucs fan." So for me, it was my auntie. She had to move Kansas with her husband, and then she would send me back all kind. Krishna Okoye and this guy Derek Thomas. I wore this jersey at the Super Bowl last year. But there's something about even if you're from Hawaii, you can pick a team, watch them on TV, watch it from afar. Maybe get to visit them sometimes, but you just kind of feel like that's your team. So why for you is Tampa Bay? Why is that your team?
Oh man, I gotta blame Warren Sapp for this one.
Okay.
Warren Sapp was definitely my influence of why I'm a Buck today. He played for Miami College with The Rock and Ray Lewis. And he was hammer, and then when he got drafted, I walked into 7-Eleven. I remember it was like 90 something, like 99 or something like that. And I think I was in like 6th grade, maybe 5th or 6th grade. And I seen a magazine, and it said quarterback killer, and it was a picture of Warren Sapp just standing there, and I'm like, bro, this guy is the man. And I remember that that Sunday, we went to our pastor's house and the Niners and the Bucks are playing,
Mm-hmm.
and the Bucks totally demolished the Niners that day. And I was like, that's the guy I seen on the magazine.
Yeah.
That's my guy right there. And then that's how it all started, man. Since then.
I love it. I got chicken skin here for that story because that's a true story. That's the kind of way that it's a connection there, and that's pretty cool. Warren Sapp, obviously one of the best on a crazy, good D line even back then, and a defensive front. But this defense too this year is pretty insane. You got some big guys. What are some of the names that immediately pop up to you when you talk about the Buccaneers defense?
My defense today?
Yeah, today for the Buccaneers, like a guy that might be like Warren Sapp, even that.
Oh man, there's a few actually. There's a few. Devin White definitely got a shout out. Devin White, he's our rookie and he is killing the game, dude. I don't if you guys don't know anything about it, and he's a true cowboy, man. This guy he's a go getter, man. Wherever the ball is, he's gonna be. So him, Winfield is also our he's a rookie.
Definitely.
He is a killer, man. And shout out to Levante David for being there all these years and finally making it.
I know.
Shit. And he's finally got a partner in the back with Devin White. So it's beautiful to see that. And then our four, the front, man, Vita Vale, JPT, Stu, man, dangerous, man. Shout out to Benny too.
I mean,
Benny, number 90.
Oh yeah, that line is freaking stacked. But you're a Waipahu boy, so we got to bring up JPP because Bretta loves fireworks. Obviously, I don't know how much he loves fireworks now, but that's a guy that's won a Super Bowl II before, and a guy that is a good anchor. It's a scary thing having these vets. These guys can back up the rookies, but. Like you said, the Buccaneers drafted well. Wirfs too on the offensive side,
Wirfs.
So when we talk about offense, talk about some of the guys. Obviously Brady and the line and the receiving core, but talk about some of the guys in the trenches as well.
Oh man, no doubt. Wirfs is the killer, dude. He comes from a wrestling background, so he's just like throwing people around, bro. Like he's in the ring. You know what I mean? Like and then Smith too. Smith, Capua, man, those boys are like blocking the hell out of Tom, man, and letting Tom just stay in that pocket. And really, everybody's on this Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that hype, and forgetting that the Bucs only needed a quarterback.
Yeah.
That was we always had a bomb ass team, and I thought that this team. Definitely, we can compare to the 02 Bucs, except we have a way more powerful offense. We never had a quarterback. I can name every quarterback from 02. Brad Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What is his name? Mike Glennon.
Yeah, Mike Glennon.
Oh my gosh.
All kind guy.
Jeff Garcia.
Yeah.
Oh
man, Jeff Garcia.
Winston.
Yeah, yeah.
That.
When you look at Jameis, and he's done the league. He had a pretty cool play for the Saints when they brought him in and lined him up in the receiver, and that was a cool play. And maybe that's what he is. He's going to be like a utility guy, maybe for a team. But that seemed to be kind of the era, right, when Jameis and Marcus came out, and we thought that was going to be the new class of quarterbacks. But it's like every year, guys get better and better and better, and we know that Brady is a great quarterback, and he can play. In my opinion, I wouldn't even challenge how long he can play. He can play probably 5 years. I don't know, but when you look at that position and how it's evolved for the Bucs as a Bucs fan, what is it like having Brady, obviously, but just that quarterback situation now, and for the franchise looking forward?
I think this is the best thing that could ever happen to it. Literally, not only is Tom Brady the best, like. He's literally the first quarterback that I can say that put on a Bucs jersey and we're like, we can depend on this guy. Yeah. Like literally, this is coming from a true Bucs fan since the 90s, and everybody who came and within my timeline never ever gave me that comfort. Like, oh yes, he's on the field. You know,
Yeah.
he's gonna get a score. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
when our guys are coming up, you know, we're thinking like, oh, I hope he doesn't throw a pick. You know, and
Yeah.
I'm usually saying that. You know,
Yeah.
even man. So to have Tom Brady understand what to do, and times where, you know, the young boys wouldn't know what to
Yeah.
do. You know, like one of our games, for instance, if you guys watched the Green Bay game, how I think we were third, and I think we were third and long, and instead of Brady making a complete pass because we only had like a few seconds left to make a field goal, he threw the ball away, and everybody's like, "Why did he do that?" It's like because he avoided getting sacked. He had no timeouts, right? So that way he can automatically get that play in, so that we can get that 3 in. Because if we didn't have that 3, then we wouldn't have been as comfortable as we with that lead. Because what Green Bay was forced to try to get a touchdown at the end because they made that stupid call to get that field goal. I don't know if you've seen that. That was
I saw that after. Yeah, wow.
I was like, I really don't understand what that was.
Same. I still to this day don't get that call. You know.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like plays as like that was what made it that important. You know, he understood that, you know, we'll still be up 2 scores if we just get this 3 in. You know, just get this 3 in real quick, and we'll be up 8. You know what I mean? And then instead of worrying about trying to get another score, and we'll still be up 2 scores. You know?
Yeah.
Like that much more smarter. You know, in a quarterback that I finally have trust. This is the first time I ever had trust in a quarterback as a Bucs fan ever in my life. So
I get it. I totally get it. And the reason I get it is because as a Chiefs fan, I can name the Chiefs quarterbacks like Steve DeBerg, and then Joe Montana was awesome. And I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, this might happen already. And then that never happened. And then whoop, for 20 years after that. But, you know, going through guys that came, Elvis Gerbach, all these old Niners that were coming through. And then into Alex Smith. Finally, when Alex Smith came along, I mean, we had Trent Green, had some decent guys that were like, could run the offense. But, of course, when you got Mahomes, I mean, when the Chiefs drafted up to get Mahomes, I was like, this is the best thing they've ever done. I knew this was the best draft pick ever. And it was worth it going because of that position and the evolution of that position. But now we're standing here, you know, 4 years after this, 5 years now after this major draft with Mahomes and coming into the league, and he's called the baby goat against the goat. But all this talk about this game, you know, we've never had that. Like even if like Jordan's tail end of his career and LeBron's clipped over a little bit, that would have been cool to see. I mean, even if Jordan was in a Wizards uniform and it was LeBron, you know, because LeBron wasn't like, you know, that would have been cool to see though, right? And it's like now we get to see something like that, you know, and Brady is still freaking good.
Yes.
So, I mean, is the hyperbole, is the freaking hype, I mean, do you buy into it? Because I hate to say it, I kind of buy into it. It's freaking a huge quarterback battle.
I think this is going to be the greatest game ever played. Like, literally from the GOAT to the baby GOAT. And it's proven. I mean, he's brought you guys all the way back to the ship. Like, you guys never left. It's like you guys never even left. You know, he's going to play again. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really can say that, but like guys like Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? And then for the simple fact that Tom is back in the game on the same year that the Bucs is hosting. And he called this last year when he was at the Patriots, actually.
Really? He go Buccaneers? Yeah.
He said he was like, if I had receivers like the Buccaneers receivers score, I would go all the way. And guess what he did?
Yeah, those guys, they drop those little Easter eggs throughout the year. If you're a big fan, you know, right? You hear this kind of stuff.
Yes.
It's like when June Jones went to SMU. He talked about SMU every time he went to that school. He's like, I love the field here. I love everything about this school. And then, like, he went to SMU after the Sugar Bowl, not even 5 minutes after the clock ran out. So, like, you can tell, Tunez, man, this guy, you know, and this Buccaneers squad is freaking stacked from top to bottom. So a lot of people don't. And you said some of the names already. But ultimately, this game may come down to a few, you know, places, a few positions. And for you, what are the keys you think for, you know, the Buccaneers? I'll start with you first, and, you know, exactly the places you think maybe the Buccaneers can, you know, pull one on the Chiefs or with, you know, certain battles one-on-one that you're looking forward to.
I'm going to say Vita Vale. I'm going to say Vita Vale in the middle. Where ever since he is such a line plugger, and he penetrates lines so badly. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could be on the line and be an okay guy on the side of Vita and
Mm-hmm.
shine, because I'm gonna be like, boom,
Yeah.
push this guy so far,
Yeah.
my guy so far. Like
Yeah.
now you don't even have to fight your guy. You just run my angle and then
Yeah.
get you know,
Yeah.
like I gotta say, like Vita had a lot of. I gotta give Vita a lot of credit for those other sacks that was made by like Shaq Barrett. Then
Yeah.
you know all those sacks that was being made. Man, these guys was flying through. So I say my whole entire line actually, they need to get to Mahomes in order to beat
Yeah.
the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That's the only way. The only way is we gotta hit Mahomes. They gotta hit Mahomes.
And this is
and then we gotta cover Tyreek too. Our DBs is what I'm afraid of. Oh,
yeah.
I
I
don't know
mean,
if that was a question later on.
no, I mean, I didn't bring up the first game because you know what? I mean, that was a great game for Tyreek. Okay, and I had him on my fantasy team, of course, with Mahomes. But you know, like that's kind of an anomaly. Like those games are not normal. Like that's the kind like.
Yeah.
You know, those DBs can never let that happen again. Like that's the kind
No.
where it's like not normal. So I won't point to that, but obviously, you know, having Kelsey and so many receivers, that's going to be a huge spot. And you know, Chiefs are going to be without Eric Fisher. I was there at Arrowhead. I saw Eric Fisher go to the ground, clutch his leg, and it was the worst. Achilles. I had Kobe Bryant injury, one of the worst. And it's like he's gone for the Super Bowl. We got a guy who went to be a doctor in Canada and opted out of the season. That was already one guy out, and you got the other tackle. So that's going to be it. I agree. I think that would be a huge, you know, advantage there for the Bucs.
And then I think I've seen too. I think you guys are only going into the Super Bowl with like 2 starting linemen.
Yeah. Basically from the beginning. Yeah, I think 1 or 2, because it's a new center, and then the other center is on the COVID thing right now. So
yeah.
I mean that could be where it happens. Like that one Super Bowl that started with like a safety because the center messed up the snap. I mean. Like that kind of stuff could happen, you know, and that's the thing. It's like one little thing can make a difference. And in my opinion, I'm scared to see teams that are playing well in the playoffs the whole way. That's the thing. I think like it gives kind of advantage to play almost that wild card game because you develop so much, you know. And it was a nice warm up game against a Washington football team, which was a good team to play and get confidence. But then. You know, as you see this team accelerate through the playoffs, they seem to get better. Mike Evans, one of my favorite receivers, no doubt. And just a guy that's just a hard, you know, just a great guy and just a fun. Watching that Hard Knocks season was really fun. They had some good personalities on that team to follow. But ultimately, I got to ask you now, you know, how do you see this game going? And what do you see as a final score?
Well, I'm not. I definitely gotta say I'm gonna be a little bit biased.
Oh no, we both are. Let's be honest. We're both gonna be biased.
Yes,
we're both gonna be biased. But
biased.
giving you know, like do you see it being a low scoring affair? I think the what's the over under on this game?
56, I think.
Okay, 56 or 57. What are you going on that one?
I would say don't sleep on these two guys. But I think the world is gonna go over, so it's gonna be under. Yeah,
I kind of see that as well. The defenses are gonna have to show up. I'm gonna go under with you on that one at least, just because I saw the defense have to pull it out against the Browns. I mean, the Chiefs. I was nervous into the game going against the Browns. I was even more nervous against the Bills. And the Chiefs, even as someone who watches every game, I mean, they really surprised me just in their ability to just respond to the moment. And, you know, being there and obviously at Super Bowl 54 was amazing to see them come back after seeing the Niners defense 20 yards in front of me celebrating on the field. And I was like, oh, Bachi, fuck. But I was like, hey, so these guys, and then, you know, we know how the game ended up, but I mean, that's a kind of you know, this game is the Super Bowl is crazy. And like you said, it has a potential to be the greatest game ever. And the Super Bowl has brought out the best. So do you think it'll be decided by one score or less? Put it that way.
I think I think my defense is gonna shine. I think for the simple facts that you guys are not coming in 100.
Yeah.
And Mahomes is one hit away from being another concussion.
I mean,
You know what
and
I'm saying?
the toe as well. The toe as well. I mean,
And
there's a
his
lot.
toe.
There's a lot. I mean, the toe is worse than the concussion part, probably. I mean,
Yeah.
against the
And then,
Bills, he barely was himself. I mean, that was barely Mahomes at all.
that's true. Very true.
So I agree. I mean, anything could happen. Tunes is clearly going in one direction. Oh, past the spread, since it's what the spread is -3 or something Chiefs right now. So Tunes is like, give me. You can take the points. I don't even care. Head to
I
head.
give you points. I give you points.
I give you points. I give you points. Oh, all right. So Waipahu, if you gotta find Tunes, he's giving points. But you know, I gotta say, obviously, you gotta shout out to you as your profession. I was on the if you remember 4 years ago, I got told I was on a Rebel Souljah's I don't know what it was, road trip with me and Joe and Toon's cousin, and it was so fun. We were in Orange County, we were in LA, we went to Santa Rosa to a really fun convention, and I just got to see you also back there and warm me up and seeing you go through your vocals and how amazing that is, and just you have amazing raw talent, and you know, being able to work and be able to put that work in and have this career, I know is a huge thing for you and for your whole family. But just talk about what it's been like recently, any new music or people can look forward to, or what's going on in that world.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's been a blessing to do what I do. You know, I come to work, I'm happy. You know, I forget sometimes that I'm working, that I'm here so long that, you know, I'm like, oh, my wife will probably be like, hey, are you coming home? Or I'm like, oh shoot, I saw my phone, I'm coming. You know, so I mean, and especially for this pandemic, everybody's been trying to adjust. You know,
of course.
We know that there's not gonna be any live shows coming up, so you know, we're just figuring out different ways and to be relevant, you know, or still be seen. So obviously we're doing more digital stuff, you know, visuals, a lot of what do you call it? Instagrams, you know, and stuff, and then and of course I'm working on my solo album right now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, which is almost done. Should be done within the next month or so.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah.
iTunes, or we're gonna find it on the platforms, or which platform? iTunes.
Should be on iTunes.
Cool.
Yeah, should be on all digital platforms.
Cool.
Soon enough.
Wow.
Yeah, and then so that's pretty exciting. I'm actually in my studio right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is our lounge room. This is the lounge room, the lounge side of our studio. And
awesome.
My partner is actually in a session right now, recording artist Mitty Mitch.
Okay.
From out of Seattle. He's pretty dope.
Wow.
And yeah, basically, man, it's been a blessing, man. I love it. I wouldn't change it for the world. Definitely a blessing to me and my family, and I thank God for it all the days of my life.
Well, I mean, I think in Hawaii, you guys are a true treasure. I think at Hawaii football, I tell people the best pregame concert, the best pregame in the history of Hawaii football is when you guys perform. And you guys perform in the concourse right where I sit, too. So it was like, Rebel Soldier's concert, and then, right to my seat. It was like the best freaking game ever. So fun. So I hope you guys come back. Do you think you guys might ever do that again? That was pretty fun.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They just got to give us the word, man. You know, we're big fans too. You know, Warriors for life, baby.
Hell yeah.
I'm definitely down for the home team, and yeah. So all they gotta do is give us a call.
All right. Yeah. Well, at Hawaii Athletics, if you're watching, you guys gotta hit up Tunes. He got a solo album coming out at 94 Tunes on Instagram. Hit him up. Tunes is looking forward to a wonderful Sunday, as well as I am. I'm going to be happy either way, but I think I'll be happy just like Tunes if a certain thing goes a certain way. But mahalo, Tunes, for joining me. And we're going to keep following your success and keep breaking legs out there. Take care, man.
Aloha, by the way.
Aloha. Gee. All right, that's our brother Tunes right there. Really amazing to see his career and everything, and we'll definitely check him out next time. Take care, brother Tunes, and we'll make sure you guys all check out his album coming out, like he said, this month on iTunes later this month. That's huge. We caught him in the studio doing his thing. And when you do what you love, like you said, every day you go to work happy. And that's the best thing, right? When you can go to work just completely happy. And I've had jobs in my life that were miserable. Okay, yeah. And then there were jobs in my life where I was like, this is doable, I guess, if I want to keep doing this forever. But there's nothing that beats doing exactly what you want to do. There's nothing that beats being in the moment that you have been waiting for your entire life. And for me, being at the Super Bowl was. And I think it's crazy, right, for sports people when you talk to a lot of sports people and they're like, what is the happiest moment in your life? And they're like, oh, this time my team won. And people are like, what? Like, that's crazy. So you're saying that you take your pleasure from watching your team win, and it's like, yeah, that's what happens. And all my collection of friends, I want to shout out Tony. He says, go Bucks. But Tony, one of the huge fans out there. We got another musician in the house, our brother Kaveh, of course. Who's going to, he said, Kaveh says, goat versus baby goat, but who's going to end up Curry? Oh, no, I hope it's not Patrick Mahomes. I love Mahomes. I'm debating wearing his jersey, so his or I really love my Travis Kelce jersey. Plus, the kind of Chiefs are wearing red, so I don't know. But as you know, I'm on my way. And shout out also Sean, Grant, Timmy, Daisuke, all the way in Japan, Nihon. A big Packers fan as well. So hopefully next year his Packers get to the big game because, like I said, there is really nothing like watching your team in the Super Bowl. And for me, at Hawaii Sports Fans and having this tour, and reach out to me. We're a few days away from the game, but I'll make anything work. I'm a magician when it comes to making things work last minute. So if you want to come to the Super Bowl and you're like, I'm convinced I'm going to go. And I know this year is really difficult, but I think it's going to be a great game. Tunes just said it's going to be the greatest game of all time. And I see the potential in that. I mean, like I said before, can you imagine if we had a chance to see Michael Jordan play? LeBron James, and even if their careers only clipped a little bit, right, only intersected, it would be amazing. We might not be able to make all the comparisons still, but at least we would have been able to see it up close. But the potential that Patrick Mahomes has, and anything could happen. Anything can happen to Patrick Mahomes. Anything could happen, right? And he might never ever win a Super Bowl ever again. It's definitely possible. It's hard to imagine because he's so talented. He's definitely the best quarterback I've ever seen. Definitely played for the Chiefs and one of the best ever, most talented players ever I've ever seen ever in my life in the NFL. And doesn't mean he's going to be the best ever. Maybe not, because players keep getting better. And I've also said that as well. It's like I keep watching an NFL with better players. And we referenced Jameis Winston when we talked about him as a long line of Bucs quarterbacks. And Tunes talked about, Mike Glennon and all these guys that, Jeff Garcia, that just didn't fit, and there was like, okay, Jameis, we're going to draft this guy high, number 1 overall pick. And that's like, oh, is it going to be Jameis? Maybe Marcus. And we have these guys that are dynamic. And of course, we love Marcus. And I think Marcus can still be a star in the NFL. But since that draft class, particularly Marcus and Jameis, we've just seen an explosion of talent. At the quarterback level. And I think it's just really impressive how, we've been able to see better and better every year. And Mahomes, stayed behind Alex Smith a little while, finally got his chance, and, made the most of it. And he's only at the very beginning, right? It's like watching Mike Trout. I'm lucky to be, as an Angels fan, to see Mike Trout play, even though the Angels are not great and it's been rough. I mean, I watch a lot of teams. I mean, Hawaii football too. As much as I love Hawaii, let's be honest, I don't get to see them win too often, so it means more though when they do win. It does mean more, but I deserve to see more wins. So I'm taking this Chiefs team. If I can see a dynasty any day, because hell, I've been watching football for a long time and I've been seeing other people make it to the top of the mountain, not just players but fans. When you follow a team for a long time, and you see a fan make it. And I was able to go to Super Bowl 49. It was our first Super Bowl. That was Brady and the Patriots versus versus the Seahawks, and that was the goal line Seahawks interception. And I was sitting next to my friend Joanna, and she's a Patriots fan, and it was cool to see her just be emotional about it as well, because I know she's a huge fan and she loves her teams. She loves her teams, and you know when you love a team if you're affected by it emotionally. If you're affected by something emotionally, you're probably a fan of the team, or you're just very emotional. If you're like, I like this team at the beginning of a game, then you're like crying when they win, like you felt everything. Like, I feel like that's impossible to feel. It's a feeling that's like really hard to imitate, is what it's like to win a championship and be a true fan of a team, and experience that victory. Because you can't really fake that feeling. You can't fake what it feels like to feel that excitement, the energy, the just that weight being over. The weight of the burden of never seeing your team win, but the weight for me, like I said, I've been a Kansas City Chiefs fan since 1989. It's 2020 when they finally won a championship. I literally grew up with them. I literally was wearing a extra small T-shirt, and then I grew up into a extra large. Okay, maybe I'm a large now, but it's crazy, right? I'm wearing this Derek Thomas jersey, which I wore to the Super Bowl last year. And this is a guy that I was watching when I was a little kid, when I was 6 and 7 and 8. This is how long I've been watching this team. So it feels pretty amazing, and it's not a feeling that you can imitate, that you can fake, right? It's a picture of Glenn right there. Super Bowl 50 the following year, I got to sit next to Glenn Higa, and shout out to Glenn Higa, just one of the good guys in Hawaii sports, and a guy that has always been one to just have fun too, and that's what I love about Glenn. He wants to be there at the game, and he takes sports very seriously, and he's worked as a professional in sports, but he also loves to have fun, and he brings the fan out, and I got to see that fan come out of Glenn, the Broncos fan come out of him, who's been waiting to see this happen for so long. I guess the Broncos had been winning recent, so I don't think he'd been waiting that long, but it still was years. It was years since the Elway years. But to see Peyton Manning too, for anybody to see one of the greats walk off the field as a Super Bowl champion, that's a pretty cool moment. So that was 50 for me. Super Bowl 51, I wasn't able to get a group, so I went to Houston. I went to a few parties. I got to see like American Authors concert, and I just got to enjoy the Houston atmosphere, but didn't get in to that game. So that was the one game that I haven't got into, in the 6 Super Bowls that I've tried to get into. I've gotten to 5. Then 52 was at Minnesota. And for me, being surrounded by so many Eagles fans who can be obnoxious, I have a lot of Philly friends and a lot of Philly faithful. Even in my family, in my South Jersey family, I have some Philly Eagles fans. So they know that their fan base, I mean, they literally had a jail cell in their, in their stadium. So I'm sure they're used to the preconceptions that people have about their fan base. But it was cool to see how emotional a lot of them got, especially grown men Philly men who've been watching this team forever and never got to experience that moment. I mean, it's euphoric. It is. And it's not just like liking a team. That's so shallow. It's so shallow to see sports that way. And I take offense to that almost. Like I would just like invest my time and my emotion to something that was like not important, because it is important. To humanity, I think it's important. Because of everything that sport believes in, fairness and fair play and competition, but also, sportsmanship. And if you're a traveler, to be able to experience so much. So I definitely, think that sports plays a vital role in how we as society, move forward, but also, especially in this pandemic, but also people, don't understand how even a single moment of time, how amazing that is. I know people like I tell people all the time, like, You know, there's TV shows. You watch a TV show forever. Can you imagine finally getting the best ending? If you like the show so much, you'd probably cry too if you finally got the best ending. And it took you 30 years, right? I started watching Game of Thrones in 2011, and then it ended when ended with the finale 2018. When was the finale? 19. And it was like, oh, that's how it ended. And I gave 8 years of my time to HBO. Not that I was watching Game of Thrones nonstop for 8 years, but I kind of invested some time in that. I wanted to see a payout, and it was a decent payout. I mean, I was happy with Bronn being the king. But anyways, this is not about Game of Thrones. I think that the NFL being around for 50, having 56, it's going on its 56th Super Bowl, and then the AFL and NFL history before that, it's the history surrounding the NFL. It's just reflective of the history of this country and how it's spread and industrialization and how clubs were born out of maybe a company starting a team with its workers or guys getting together and playing out a field, or in Green Bay, right, the packing company. So there's always a story there as well, and that's the fun part about the NFL that I enjoy, and it all culminates in the Super Bowl. But that moment is hard to describe watching. 53 was such a terrible game. Of course, I was cheering for the Rams. The Rams are my other team, and I do post about the Rams a lot because even if I have another team, I'm still going to be a huge fan. Yeah, obviously, I'm Wayne Coito. I don't, I can't just be like a normal fan of anything, right? Like if I'm a fan of something, I hold back when it comes to like, NBA. Like I just love the NBA like altogether. So it's hard to like pick a team. I want to see the LA orient. I'm a little bit more LA oriented when it comes there for a lot of things, but the Rams I follow a lot because I go to a lot of their games, even when they were terrible the first year they came here, and it was just like, well, I'm not in Kansas City, I can't go to a game there, so I'll go to a game here. And then the Chiefs come to the Rams, come to play LA, and I don't even go to the game because I couldn't cheer for the Rams there. No way, I couldn't, and so I had to deal with watching the game, ironically with people cheering for the Rams, and I was cheering for the Chiefs. And they were like laughing at me, and they were like saying things. I was like, bro, I'm a bigger Rams fan than you. I just happen to be a bigger Chiefs fan than that. So it's just crazy levels. And that's what you're dealing with. If you come on my tours, if you get to know me, that's the level of fan. And I'm unapologetic by it. Like nobody does the crazy things that I do. Nobody. You can find people. Maybe I can find comparable stories. I have stories of near-death experiences, many ongoing on sports trips. I have crazy events I've been to, all the tennis majors. And I can tell you there's something different about being at that game, the number one game, the best game ever, the Super Bowl. And this one is already, seems like it's written in the stars. That's going to be an amazing one. Mahomes versus Brady, Tampa playing in its own home stadium. There's so many unprecedented levels to this game. Obviously seeing Tom Brady going to just a ridiculous amount of Super Bowls, 10 now, or is... it is something to appreciate. Even if you're not a Tom Brady fan, it's something to watch and appreciate. I'm looking at a photo right now, Super Bowl 49, seeing Brady operate there. And, I've been lucky to watch him play in the Super Bowl a few times, and it's amazing. It's watching something else. I went to the Rose Bowl in 2009, and that was, up to that point, definitely, and it still might be the biggest college football game that I've ever been to, like the highest level college football game. Going to the Rose Bowl, and it was a different level to it. I mean, first of all, being in the Rose Bowl, obviously, it's different. It's not being in the Hawaii Bowl, going to Lowe Stadium, but it's a different level of competition. It's a transcendent level of football, even within college football. And that's what the Super Bowl is compared to the rest of the NFL. And that's why it's a ridiculous cost, yes, but it's also... reflective of the fact that this game is that important. This game will always be talked about. Even as Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta, the 13-3 game, it's still a Super Bowl. We're still going to remember it, because it's the Super Bowl. It's like, it's hard to go wrong. Obviously, as a Chiefs fan or a fan of any team, I wouldn't want to go to a game and watch my team lose. Watching the Rams lose and having so much interest in the Rams, that wasn't fun, but to be quite honest, the Rams to me have overachieved since they came to LA. A 4-12 season wasn't a good start, and they got rid of Fisher, and then Goff came, and they finally put Goff in, and I was like, no, I think I wanted Wentz. And going back to our quarterback thing that I talked about, Wentz, Jameis, and Marcus. I mean, look at Jared Goff and Carson Wentz coming in, and that's supposed to be the new wave, and that already being kind of old news. And I wish Jared Goff the best. I love Jared Goff. I love hanging out with him. He's a really fun guy, and he has a cool personality. And he's one of those guys, like, if you talk to him, you would kind of easily get to like him because he's one of those guys. Unfortunately, he just threw too many interceptions and just collapsed in the pocket way too often. And I think it's sad because he really set up some major roots here when he got here. He was the first ever, draft pick, first overall in the draft when the Rams moved to LA. I mean, he's a huge part of the transition from St. Louis to LA, but that's the business, and the Rams are now much better. The Rams are one of the better teams, one of the best teams in the NFL, no doubt, having Matthew Stafford. And that's when Toon started talking about Tom Brady being that piece. That's what Stafford is, because Goff was that much of an obstacle on the success of the Rams. I mean, he's a quarterback. First of all, he touches the ball in every offensive play. He's the quarterback. And so having the number one defense, and, statistically, because I think the Packers really made the Rams defense look normal, if not really bad at sometimes. The Rams are definitely a contender for the Super Bowl. No doubt. This is no doubt. And the fact is, the Rams spent a lot of money on Aqib Talib a few years earlier, Marcus Peters, and Ndamukong Suh. All these guys that people said, oh, they cannot sustain now. They better win now. Then they go to the Super Bowl and flop. Of course, Goff. I mean, that game was on Goff, first of all. And Cooper Kupp didn't even play in that game, too. I mean, that's a huge... That game, the Rams are just... And, Gurley was just not Gurley. And it is what it is. But the Rams still got there. Just somehow, still. I mean, that's ahead of the timetable, in my opinion. And then this year, I thought, well, they had to eat some of those contracts. Those guys are gone. Obviously, Marcus Peters is gone. Aqib Talib is gone. That team is gone. Goff's huge contract. But then they bled some of Goff's contract out and then let him go. And I don't blame him. I mean, McVay needed to let him go. That's just the way. I mean, Goff is a great guy, too. I'm sure they have a great friendship because those guys, I'm sure, are buddies, too. So that must suck. But it's going to be some awkward conversations between those guys for sure. But the Rams are in a position to win the Super Bowl for sure now. They're not better than the Chiefs, in my opinion. I don't know if they're as good as with Stafford. I mean, they might definitely be better now than the Buccaneers. So, I mean, it's a big upgrade. I mean, Stafford never had his team. And the Rams needed a quarterback, so it's like it fits. Was it expensive? Yes. Stuff costs a lot. I don't know what to say. And the Rams did a good job of as much as, and I've said this before. I mean, you got to win the Super Bowl or nothing, right? Especially if you want to be an elite team. This is not for everybody, right? I don't think the Jacksonville Jaguar fans. Okay, I'll use the college example, right? I don't think Hawaii fans, we get upset if we don't win the championship. No, because I would have committed to, okay, I'm not going to go that far. But I would have probably done things, I probably would have been very, very, even sadder than I could be, usually, when the team loses. Because the expectation of winning a championship every year is just not a thing at the University of Hawaii, right? At Boise, it is a thing. At Boise, they should win the championship every year. And I'm sure the fans are disappointed if they don't win the championship. But at Hawaii, when we finish 500, or we finish 500 during the pandemic season and then win a bowl game, that's a great season in my opinion. That's an awesome season. We didn't win the Mountain West Championship, which would have been better, but I can take baby steps, and that's fine. Not in the NFL. If you want to be one of the elite teams, if you want to be elite teams, you got to win. You got to win it all. And the Chiefs are going to be that way for who knows how long. I mean, Mahomes, in my opinion, is one of the greats, and that doesn't mean we don't know what the future holds, obviously, but it could be. Everybody knows the game has gone up now. Now that you have the Chiefs and you have a lot of other teams that are stacking their rosters. I mean, there's some teams that are still, might land a stud in the offseason, right? If the Bills got another stud or something, or the Browns. I mean, just those two teams alone that I got to see up close. I mean, they're not in the Chiefs level yet, but they're not super far away. This is a guy like me who has been a Chiefs fan forever and ever and ever, And I can tell you that I'm for all of my teams. I'm never a homer. I make fun of people for being homers, but I'm not a homer on my teams, and I'm proud of that. Of course, I can be a little biased if or get offended maybe if somebody goes after the team, but I'm always level-headed about my teams because I don't need to be the guy that's like my team's the best. Oh, like I was raised a UH fan, so that's just not something you can do anyways. But I can still take pleasure in seeing the success of other teams or seeing a great game. When I go to NBA Finals, right? When I saw like the the Raptors beat the Warriors. I mean, that was a cool story. I wasn't like super happy that I wasn't even like super elated like the Raptors won, but I was like, cool, this is here. I get to be here. I'm seeing the Raptors win. Like, wow, this is so cool. This is a great end to the NBA season. And I love the NBA, and this is just like, watching your favorite show and it ends, and you getting to be there on set or something, One day maybe that will happen. My favorite show, I'll be on set. I'll be in the show for the final episode. That'd be kind of cool. But that's what it's like at the football. It's like you've been watching it all year long, and you get to be there. And for me, I kind of took a break on the NFL offseason this year. I got to go to 3 UH games, Hawaii football games, so that was nice. But I expected the season to be a little bit drier for me in terms of my football attendance, but the playoffs started and I was there, for the divisional in Kansas City and then at the AFC Championship in Kansas City. I mean, I feel like it's made up for it a lot, and it's cool to be able to see this team that I've been watching all year on social media and, electronically. I got to see them, actually make it all the way to that game and perform in front of me, in front of my own eyes, sitting in Arrowhead. Like, nothing can match that experience. This is why I'm willing to give my life. Basically, the stuff I love the most, what I'm most passionate about, is being in that game, being there, and it's worth it to me because those memories last forever, and those are memories that I think a lot of people take for granted because you can only have that chance once. And I would say I'm a LeBron James fan. I would say that, but I'm also, like I said, a fan of the NBA. So I want to see good NBA stories, and for me, I regret, if you're talking about regrets of games, the Warriors versus Cavs when LeBron, beat the Warriors. To me, that's LeBron's greatest game of his career. To me, hands down, the greatest game. Just what he had to do and what he had to prove. And for me, I was a bigger LeBron hater too before that. I mean, I'm not a LeBron hater at all anymore, but I could be a LeBron hater fan, maybe, or a LeBron hater fan. Yeah, still a fan, but also a hater maybe before, like how fans can be. But I totally respect LeBron James and everything he's done. And as you get older, you don't hate on athletes as much because you respect them and just how difficult it is to be at this level. And I respect all the athletes. And I thought about this today as well. We talk about their salaries so much, and I think that's totally unfair. I mean, money is money. It's fair as whatever proportional their money they're making compared to their owners. That should be what we talk about, because their owners are making a lot of money. I'm paying a lot of money to go to games, so I expect that money, a lot of that money, to go to the players if I'm paying that much to go into games. But at the same time, I don't know where I was going with this. No, you have to be able to, just focus on the game itself. Sorry, I didn't know where I was going to go with this, but I was talking about a lot of other things at the same time. Or LeBron James in that last game. I guess that game was going back to LeBron James in that game in 2016, the finals, and just I remember where I was watching that game on a television in a bar, and I was like, man, I wish I was at that game. I was watching the prices, and I was like, it's kind of high, whatever. But like I thought it would be, that game ended up being a freaking classic and LeBron's greatest game. I mean, if you can only be at one game in LeBron James' career, that should be the one. And that's the thing too, especially for people, we don't go to every game, right? Especially people from Hawaii, right? If your team isn't in Hawaii, which there are no NFL teams in Hawaii, so everybody in Hawaii either has to have a lot of money to travel to see other teams, their games, or have, well, not, I take that back because I don't have a lot of money, but I make it work with how I manage my life. And I think anybody can do that. That's another thing too. You don't have to be a rich person. If you're a rich person, to me, it's like obvious. You should be going to all the games. Like, I'm like, come on. If you're rich and you have money, like, go. Like, what are you waiting for? But for the rest of us that have to, like, budget sometimes, it's still worth it. but you have to be able to make it work. And that game, then I was not used to seeing those exorbitant ticket prices like we're going for that game. NBA games, to me, NBA regular schedule, at least the regular season games, those are usually overpriced for me for a lot of teams, like the Lakers, for instance. Like, there's just, you can't make all 41 home games exciting. You can make maybe 10 of them exciting, or maybe 5 of them really, really exciting. Like, you were there for that game, and the other 5 may be exciting. Like, oh, that was a good game, I remember it. But most of the games are just gonna be like, blah. That was a good game. Like, you won't have anything that stands out that will make you remember that game. I mean, that's just NBA regular season. Just like a baseball I mean, I could find a ticket stub for how many Angels ticket games I've been to, Dodgers games, being in LA, and it's like, if something would have to stand out about that game, it was a regular season game. Now if it's a playoffs, then I'm like, oh yeah, that's different. That's different. And I want to make another comparison to another sport, because I know Shane, just a shout out to Lao Lao Head, shout out to Sean, all you guys are wrestling fans as well, but I was a huge WWF fan, and around the same time where I became a Chiefs fan in the late 80s. I used to stay up late on Saturday night's main event and hope that it would come on, and Saturday Night Live would come on and be like, Saturday Night Live's on. And then I'd be like, whatever. But that's all we had, right? No internet, so it's just like, whatever, hoping that, I think like Bravo channel was there, and I was like, oh, Dino Bravo? Is that? Oh, okay. I was just like, in a perfect world, there might be a 24-hour network of wrestling, which I guess exists now, but I'm just not as much into wrestling as I was before. But something about wrestling that I still love is the pay-per-views. As much as because pay-per-view for Hawaii football, no. Pay-per-view for wrestling, okay, makes sense. Because you knew you were watching a pay-per-view event. You knew that your experience, even in your home, you're just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm watching not Saturday night's main event, not Monday Night Raw. I'm watching, like, this is like next level WWF, right? And they always had a script that was, or they always had a show that was worthy of that pay-per-view, because that's how WWE and F was, right? They know their product so well, and they're able to cater to their fans. Of course, in wrestling, it's probably a little bit easier to to make certain outcomes happen compared to football or basketball. But I guess I did see an interview with Tim Donaghy, the NBA ref. So maybe there are other ways that you can affect the outcomes of the games if you're not actually playing the games in the NBA. But that's a totally different show and a different story. But like I said, that's how the Super Bowl is. It's like, and you're there, and Like, I remember walking on the concourse in Atlanta. Super Bowl 53 could have been like the one that I just like, because it was such a dud for the Rams. And also just like watching a team score only 3 points in the game, you're like, wow, this is a Super Bowl. But there's still so much I remember from that game, because it's like the majesty of the game is still electric, and everything is just like special. Like, you're in a special place. Like, it's not just a normal game. Like, it means something to be at a Super Bowl. It's cool to go to an NFL game. Like, I think it's, if people are just like casual fans of the NFL, or even if they're not NFL fans, even if you're not an NFL fan, I'd say you should go to a regular season game or try an NFL game. I go to everything, right? I love everything, right? I go to operas, I go to everything, But I think a lot of people miss out on the atmosphere if they only watch a game on TV, or if they only hear about a game on TV. They don't realize just how exciting it is to be in a game and to feel like that electricity, and to feel like, all of the energy coming from, the stands, from the field, from other fans. It's pretty intoxicating. It's like one of those things that, as somebody who's been watching football my whole life, like, it gets better for me. Like, it doesn't get old. It doesn't strain. I mean, and how many people can say that? How many people can say that about something they love? Like, it doesn't get old, And Maybe you found that perfect partner for your life, and you can say it doesn't get old. But I can say it gets better for football. Hopefully, I mean, not that people can say it gets better. Okay, that's a totally different topic. But the NBA, the NFL, for me, have gotten better. I enjoy them more, and I enjoyed them a lot when I was 12, and I'm a lot older than that now, way older than that, and I still like it even more, and it's cool. I think that's why sports culturally is important to society, and I see it for myself in other countries. When I go to Korea, I go to a Korean baseball game. Everybody is there. You know, 할머니's, 아버지's, everybody. 안녕하십니까 to all of our Korean fans out there, because you know I'm a fan of Korean baseball. It's super fun. I'm a fan of Asian baseball. Such a huge fan, and I was hoping we could do a tour this year, Asian baseball tour. Maybe, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? After the Super Bowl, we'll talk about other stuff, because Asia is my favorite continent. It's the best continent. It's so fun. Best food, and the most fun. And back to Korea baseball. But what about Korean baseball that is so amazing is the fact that it's old people, like I said, and old being words old and young. So you can say what old and young is, but old and young, sporty looking, if you whatever you call that, and non-sporty alike. There were like middle school girls eating their chicken, and one thing too, you could buy food outside and bring it in, like they didn't care. Like in Asia, anywhere in Asia, there was just like, yeah, come in. Like America, we're like searching everything, like real America. That's another thing people realize. It's because of how we are in America that people have to go searching through bags and stuff like that. That doesn't happen in other places. Like Asia, like come right in, come right in. I mean, that's how it should be, because people should be going to sports games to enjoy the game, not to be doing devious, terroristic things. But that is something that I think in America people take for granted, because our sports are very similar in that way as well, where we see people across age groups go to games, but we think, oh, this person doesn't like sports. But, you know, usually around Super Bowl, right, everybody kind of has an opinion about the Super Bowl and what team they're cheering for. Even if they're just watching for the commercials, you know, they usually will, you know, whatever. People will be like, I want to see this team win. So Chiefs is that team. If you're just going to watch the game, pick the Chiefs. It is funny, though, because usually if I'm just a casual fan, right, you want to see the underdog. So it's weird this year now that the Chiefs are the favorite and the defending champions. Like, the Chiefs has always been the good guys. That's one thing. Like, the Chiefs, my whole life, have never been, like, a villain, and have never been, you know, one of the popular kids, right? They've always been, like, kind of the, you know, from time to time, they'll have some great players. Obviously, Tony Gonzalez, one of the greatest tight end, you know, of all time. Maybe. Now we have so many great tight ends, or one of the greatest tight ends for sure of all time, another Kansas City product, and a guy who never got to go to the Super Bowl, even though he tried with the Falcons and, you know, didn't get that Super Bowl win. So after his long career with the Chiefs, you know, he tried to get that win with the Super Bowl win with the Falcons. But you know, that's the game. Only one team can win out of 32. Only one team can win out of 32. Only one team can win. So you decide whether your team. For me as a Chiefs fan, it was like, make the playoffs. Just be 9-7. Like 9-7 was always my standard. I was like 9-7, 9-7. Of course, I wanted to be better than 9-7. I mean 10-6. But like talking about 13-3 and stuff and 12-4, like that's next level. Like I've never expected that of a team, especially in the regular season. Like the NFL is loaded. The NFL, I mean the NBA, like everybody's good. I mean everybody's good. Sometimes there are transcendent talents. Mahomes being one of them, I think, and Aaron Donald. Of course, I love Aaron Donald. I'll talk about him, but it's a guy that, you know, guys that are just like, wow, I don't know how they did that. I mean, Tom Brady, obviously one of those guys too, and still playing like that. So that's why I love the NFL. But I know a lot of you are looking forward to the Super Bowl next year. A lot of you told me this year, oh, next year. So I'm going to hold you folks to that, because I really want you all to come to a Super Bowl with me. And next year it's going to be in Los Angeles. So finally the Super Bowl is coming to the West. Super Bowl 14 was in Phoenix. That's the last time. Oh, and then 49 was in Phoenix, and then we had 50 in San Francisco, and then 51 Houston, 52 up to Minnesota, 53 way to the south in Atlanta, 54 even more south in Miami, 55 slightly south and slightly north and still way south in Tampa. So, and way east, way east. So it'll be nice to have the games back on the West Coast. And obviously, this pandemic has caused a lot of uneasiness with people traveling. Of course, it's a risk. Leaving your home is a risk. I think as we keep going, as we go into spaces where I'm comfortable with mask wearing and the enforcement of mask wearing and distancing, which I've seen in most places that I've gone, like I said, Arrowhead Stadium, in Kansas City, Dallas, Texas for the New Mexico Bowl, Wyoming, they're enforcing masks. I don't know about the whole distancing thing, but I think people and places are adapting as well. And it's been almost a year we've had this pandemic, so it's still not risk-proof. Obviously, having the vaccine would definitely accelerate your chances of not, elevate your chances of not ever contracting COVID. But obviously, right now, the rollout is not for the general public, right? We're still there. Well, general public, but 75 and over, I think, is most places that are, if you're not a medical worker, care worker, or essential worker. So Super Bowl fans were not in the tier 1 of receiving vaccines, I do realize. But there will be some Super Bowl vaccinated people, and that's the care workers, or medical workers. So shout out to them. There's going to be 7,500 of them at the game, the NFL providing them tickets, which is a cool thing. Hard because they're taking a lot of tickets away in an already reduced seating capacity game, but I think it's for a good cause, and I think it'll be a memorable Super Bowl for that as well, having the pandemic and everything that we've gone through. For me, I kind of like distance games. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I love the roar of a stadium that's packed, but it's kind of nice, like having no lines at the bathroom and, just like not having people around you where you can jump around. Like, it's nice. Like, it's worth it, I think. If you have to pay a little extra even to be at a game that is distance, just because there's a lot more comfort for sure. I mean, you can leave your stuff in the chair next to you, and you don't have to worry about anybody sitting there. So it's a kind of a cool thing that people don't realize that if you've never been to a distance game, how that's different than going to a normal game. But yeah, Super Bowl 55, we're hours away, days away. I'm on my way. I'm on my way personally to Florida tomorrow. I'm going to check out NBA game even tomorrow or on Friday, Orlando Magic. So packing this tour again with some more. And if anybody is down to come, hit me up, info@hisportsfans.com, or however, private message me. It's never too late. Like, it's never too late. Until the kickoff, even after kickoff, you can still get into the game. But it's never too late. If you want to do something, do it. Now's the time. If you've been thinking about it, this close to kickoff, you still have time. I'm telling you. If you think, oh, it's too hard, like, you just got to have a desire. A will. Where there's a will, there's a way. And where there's Hawaii sports fans, there's always a way. So pretty simple. Just give me a call or send me a email first. info@hisportsfans.com. I'll call you and we'll talk about what it takes if you want to be there at Super Bowl 55 in Tampa. What a great show we had today. Tunes from Rebel Souljah. Shout out to Rebel Souljahs. And I miss going to their concerts. Hopefully we can be in a concert again soon. Skanking, SKANKing together at a Rebel Souljahs concert. But mahalo to Tunes. We know who he'll be cheering for on Sunday. And he had a lot of great stories. Definitely a Bucs fan that knows a lot about his team and the history of his team. So if you didn't have a chance to watch that, the Facebook Live started a little bit later. So the very beginning, you can find on YouTube and on the podcast, but it's not on the Facebook Live, unfortunately, because I pressed the button too late. But still, you got some great stories, and go back and listen if you haven't. And great perspective as well. I think we talked about some storylines in the Super Bowl that probably a lot of other analysts haven't really talked about, and that's really the battle in the trenches, and where I think there will be a lot of advantages for the Bucs, and also for the Chiefs. But it was a great show. Hopefully you can make it to the Super Bowl, whether this year or the next. Take care, guys. It was another fun one. Aloha.